Hello and welcome to ESM Squared, the podcast for experienced social media marketers. I'm Emily, your host and long-term member of the marketing team here at Iconosquare. Iconosquare is one of the leading analytics and management tools for Instagram, Facebook, Twitter and LinkedIn. And we're proud to work with some of the biggest agencies in the world and renowned brands such as Patagonia, Sephora, Versace, NASA and Asics, which is the brand in the spotlight today. If you're new to Iconosquare or just haven't got round to checking out our tools before, you can start with the basics by heading over to audit.iconosquare.com and getting a free audit of your Instagram and Facebook accounts to find out once and for all where you're flying high and where you're falling flat. These audits are so helpful and they are the best place to start when it comes to improving your social media strategy with analytics. If you're a regular listener of ESM Squared, you'll know that we have two types of episode. The interviews with social media experts, where professionals share with me their experiences working in social media, as well as their internal strategies, tips, tricks, and more. And we also have tutorial episodes in which I talk about a particular topic which can often be a burning question for social media marketers like you and help guide you into making strong decisions for your social strategy. This episode is an interview and I'm lucky enough to be able to host Andy Griffiths, who is Head of Social Media at Asics. Andy is a well of information, especially in the field of user-generated content. I'm sure you're going to enjoy listening to his story. Once you're done with this episode, I'd really appreciate it if you could subscribe to the podcast and leave us a rating. Don't forget you can also trial Iconosquare for free for a whole 2 weeks, and you don't need to share any credit card information to get started. Contact me directly for any questions or feedback via emily@iconosquare.com. Let's get started with the interview. Hi Andy, thank you so much for being here with me today. If we could start off with some general questions, why don't we start off with the brand Asics itself? Obviously an iconic brand, everybody's familiar with it, but could you give me a bit more of a backstory on the brand itself, where you've come from, where you're going, etc.?
Yeah, of course. So we're a Japanese company. Not many people know, to be honest, that we're from Japan. The founder, Mr. Onitsuka, he set the company up in 1949. So just at the end of the Second World War, or after the Second World War, should I say. And he noticed he wanted to do something for the youth. He noticed that there wasn't much to do in post-war Japan. There wasn't much of an opportunity for kids to get out and enjoy life. It was obviously quite a deprived society at that particular time. So he set the company up with the objective of helping kids sort of achieve more and help them live a happier, healthier life. So the acronym Asics actually stands for a Latin phrase, which translates as a sound mind in a sound body. And that's very much kind of the ethos that we still live by today, of trying to help people achieve a sound, healthy mind through exercise, through movement. And we still live by that now, as I say. And that's very much the pursuit we're going in. And we think now more than ever, obviously the situation we've all been in for the past, year or so with COVID, that it's more important than ever. Obviously, a lot of people have been struggling with mental health. And for most of us, or certainly a lot of us, exercise has been the only escape when we've been in lockdown, not been able to go anywhere, not been able to see anyone. Getting out and going for a run has been one of the godsends. So we see that as very important, and we want to encourage people to move, stay active, and we think that that's one of the best ways that they can help stay mentally fit as well as physically fit.
Absolutely, and you can feel that through your social media, in fact. Could you tell me about the team that runs the social media over there, what the different roles are and how you fit in?
Yeah, of course. We're quite a small team, to be honest. We're based in Amsterdam, where our European headquarters are. We sit within the digital marketing team, and we work closely with the various different categories. And we have a lady who's responsible for the organic content. We have a lady who's responsible for the paid content, and we also have a media specialist within the team for paid media. And then I'm leading those three people. So we all work quite closely together, as I say, with the categories, mainly as the majority of our business is made up from running. And we are quite often considered to be a running brand, although we do other sports like tennis and rugby, handball and things like that. We work really closely with the categories to make sure that we have the right content, and have a digital marketing person in each of the categories who we liaise with in creating that content to fill out our calendar on our social accounts.
So would you say that was your main goal on social media at Asics, to inspire and encourage people to pick up sport and do running and take part in these kind of physical activities through your inspiration that you're able to give through content?
Yeah, absolutely. We obviously as well sponsor a lot of athletes and events, but it's not just speaking to those people that take part in events and maybe consider themselves to be runners. We really want to reach a broader appeal than that and help anyone who to live a happier, healthier life, basically. Mental health is a big part of what we're doing and where we're going. And our goal is to help people achieve that sound mind in a sound body. And if we can inspire people to put on a pair of running shoes and go for a run or go and play tennis or whatever it may be, then that's a job well done from our end.
Brilliant. And how about you say people, who are your target audiences? Who is your ideal client? How do you go about reaching them? Which platforms do you use?
We don't want to be too narrow. As I say, we don't want to talk to people that are just interested in running sub 3 hour marathons or anything like that, or even people that are just running marathons. We want to make sure that we can help as many people as possible live a healthier life. And we're trying to strike a balance. Traditionally, as a company, we've probably been, our consumers have been perhaps more skewed towards male than female, but we're really trying to address that. One of the other things is obviously as a sports company, we do tend to target a younger audience. I'd say the majority of people on our social platforms are sort of between the ages of 25 to 44, and that's kind of where our sort of sweet spot sits. Obviously, as well, we use a lot of the main social media platforms. Big ones for us tend to be Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter to a lesser extent. That would be kind of where we tend to focus our time and effort.
I have actually seen some of your content on YouTube and Instagram in particular. Why would you say that these platforms are the most important to you? Is there a particular reason why you're not on the more obscure platforms, like or the newer platforms, should I say, TikTok? And how about LinkedIn, for example? Is there a reason why you're putting your focus on the others?
So we do use LinkedIn. That tends to be mainly run through, traditionally it's been more of a HR recruitment channel for us. We have shifted that recently within the last, let's say year and a half maybe, to try and tell the brand message and make sure that we're communicating what we stand for to people out there. But being completely honest, the major platforms for us are where we can spread that message more. We want to go to where people are. We see that generally speaking, as I said, there's that broad audience of people who get out, move, maybe go for a short little 5K run around the park, or all the way up to marathon runners. They're all on the likes of YouTube. They're all on Instagram, and going to where the consumers are is more important for us, because we can't expect them to all come to us just because we may go to a smaller platform or something like that. So we really want to make sure that we're giving as many people as possible the opportunity to get out and inspire them to get out and go for a run or go and play sport.
Great, yeah, it makes sense to just go to where they are, where they're sitting waiting for you, yeah. And talking about the different platforms you use, have you noticed that there's a certain type of content maybe that works better than another? Are you more video, more static image?
I think it's quite interesting, actually. So we've noticed differences between the platforms. Obviously, our content on YouTube is pure video, but even then, on between Instagram and Facebook, which are obviously owned by Facebook, we're noticing differences between the channels, and what performs well on one won't perform necessarily well on the other. On Instagram, we tend to notice statics perform a bit better than if we were to do any videos, whereas Facebook, you'd probably say it was the other way around for us. We definitely notice a higher reach on a static carousel on Instagram than we would do by posting the video. We do notice as well the types of content that we post can differ slightly, or the performance can differ slightly depending on what we're posting. So we know our audience is quite often interested in our product. We have quite technical running shoes. They're very detailed. We put a lot of technology into them. It's really important for us to make sure we have technically superior products. We want to give people the best shoe they can absolutely have. And our consumers, our users and followers on our social platforms really like those details. So we notice a running shoe that's on foot, outside, quite zoomed in where you can see the details, will tend to perform quite well when we're posting it on social. If we were to do more of a zoomed out shot that shows lovely hills in the background and someone running, it might not perform as well. So we need to strike a balance, obviously, between making sure that we're not just going down with one piece of content all the time, but we try and also make sure we're giving the consumers what they want. And there are differences there, as I say, between the platforms, but that tends to be what performs well, particularly on Instagram.
Right, okay. It seems like, you're trying to tell a story, product placement, just the storytelling around it, like the lifestyle, I guess, that goes with this culture of running and being sporty in the Asics shoes. You speak about reach a lot. Is that one of the main metrics you pay attention to? Like, which metrics are the most important to you?
Yeah, from an organic point of view, reach is probably the main metric we're looking at when we're looking at the performance of our social posts. It's one that we can compare across the board, because we notice, for example, if we're posting a video, that people tend to watch it, but they don't tend to like it. Whereas obviously if we're posting a static, people tend to like it and there's no opportunity to watch. So reach is that one metric that we can compare different types of content to when we're looking at what performed well and what didn't perform well. And even going back to what I said earlier about making sure we're getting people to put on their running shoes, obviously the more people we're reaching, the more people we're inspiring to do that. That's a good thing from our end. And if we can actually get people to see the post, then that's our ultimate objective from an organic social point of view. And we've kind of noticed as well, there is a correlation between static posts, for example, as I say, we'll have a lot of likes. When we have more likes, they obviously reach more people. So that's the one metric that we can take across all our posts, that we can actually compare the posts and see what's performing well, what the audience likes, what the audience doesn't like.
And I know that you have multiple Instagram accounts, if we just focus on Instagram for a moment, because I believe that you also generate some of your content through micro-influencers, nano-influencers. Can you tell me about Asics Frontrunner, for example? What's that account about? What's it for?
Yeah, so the Frontrunners is a group of runners that was set up a few years back now, which was essentially at the time a group of good club runners. And I think originally we started it in Germany, but then it spread to the rest of Europe. And it's morphed, I suppose, into a community now of different standard of runners. But as you say, they are kind of, I don't want to say smaller, but maybe nano or micro influencers who have in their particular area a certain authenticity, credibility around running, and obviously enjoy running as well. We work with them to make sure that they obviously live our brand, they live our brand ethos, they believe in a sound mind and a sound body, but we work with them to really spread that message broader to their communities as well. So the Frontrunner account itself on Instagram is a UGC account. We use the content that the Frontrunners individually produce. So they'll be producing it on their local Instagram accounts and sharing it with their followers, but then we'll choose the best ones that will go onto the actual central Frontrunner account as well.
So what is the performance actually like on that account? Are you able to generate any ROI, any new customers through this UGC content?
Yeah, the account performs really well, to be honest. It's definitely a unique one. I think even within our industry, a lot of the brands offer very polished, finished content that looks very professional and very nice. And there's definitely a place for that. But the Frontrunner account being that UGC, being a bit more authentic, I think people can relate to it a bit more than they would do otherwise. And we've certainly noticed that there's a lot of interest in it. Every year when we have the Frontrunner application phase in January, there's a lot of interest in that. And I think up to sort of 50,000 people across Europe actually apply to be a front runner, which is a lot more than the space we have and the number of people we can accommodate. Unfortunately, we'd obviously love to accommodate more, but it really does work well. And those people that become front runners, and even the people that don't necessarily become front runners, they really live the brand and are keen on spreading that word. And they are the embodiment of what we represent as a brand. So the account does definitely perform well. It's really relatable for people, adds a human face to what might otherwise be conceived as a corporate brand or something like that. So I think it's that authenticity really strikes home with a lot of people and really helps us tell our story in a different way that people really can associate with and become inspired by.
Yeah, you really can tell that they are dedicated and loyal brand ambassadors. Like, they're there because they want to be there. It really is. It's inspiring to see how you've managed to build this community of fans who have gone beyond just simple fandom. Can you just give me an overall, just a conclusion, I guess, to the micro influencers? What it's like working with them on social media, how your experience has been setting up this community of people, and what it's like just generally interacting with them.
So we have a few people internally who are responsible for the Frontrunner program, and we obviously work with them quite often, regularly. It's a group of people, I think we're up to about 700 in Europe, who, like I say, live the brand and love running and love what we do as a brand, but we need to make sure that it's all aligned and measured up into our overall marketing message, and we need to make sure that we're all talking about the same thing at the same time. So there's a lot of coordination that goes on behind the scenes. There's a lot of interaction between us and the people responsible for the Frontrunners community as a whole. We had a conversation yesterday, actually. More than a conversation, it was a bit of a workshop on really how we can leverage that now going into the second half of the year. Because one of the things we would like to do is take that authenticity that Frontrunners have and take the message that they're trying to spread and the enthusiasm, as you say, and that inspiration, and really spread it out to an even broader audience. Because a lot of the Frontrunners, I don't know, they may have a few thousand followers, some maybe a bit more. But we really want to share that with as many people as possible to really spread that message, as I was saying, kind of inspire people to get out and go for a run. So it's behind the scenes, there's a lot of coordination that goes on, and then looking at how we can actually take the message and spread it even further, which I suppose is essentially how the central Frontrunner account was set up initially in the first place, to really use the UGC from the individual Frontrunners and spread that beyond their followers.
To use this influence to, I guess, get to your end game, which is to increase the number of people who are interested in Asics, to be able to compete with the big boys, I guess, increase the preference for Asics through just users' actual stories and users' experiences. I just think it's a really good idea.
Yeah, and I think that's obviously what we want to do. We want to differentiate ourselves as well from the competition. We believe that, as I said, when we were established in Japan, there was a reason behind it. Our name, it stands for Sound Mind and Sound Body. So we believe that we have a unique point of view on it, and we believe that Frontrunners can be part of that and really share that and inspire people. So hopefully that's what we're doing with it.
Do you run influencer marketing campaigns? And if so, can you give an example of one which was a particular success?
We do. Most of our campaigns tend to be related to the Frontrunners, which we definitely count as influencers. We do tend to do other ones beyond the Frontrunner campaigns, but they tend to be few and far between, to be honest. The Frontrunner campaigns, the perfect example would be one that we've just launched in January this year. We did the what we were calling the Sunrise Red campaign, which was the launch of the new brand platform that we had, but it's also signified a new dawn, and we're really trying to make the link between sunrise as a concept and the start of a new day, and actually give people a chance to inspire them to start afresh, start the year afresh, get out, do some exercise. And Frontrunners for us were key part of that messaging. We used the content we created for all the central brand accounts was using Frontrunners as models, but obviously the Frontrunners themselves were used on their own accounts and within the Frontrunner account to really push that message out there. And it was really key in creating the buzz behind it, because we actually got people to post hashtags, which we, for each hashtag posted on social, we would donate money to Mind, the charity in the UK. So we were a month early in hitting the target of hashtags there, which meant we managed to donate a lot of money to a charity, which is very helpful.
Can you tell me anything about being head of social media at Asics that would surprise me?
Anything that would surprise you? There are probably many things. I think it's definitely an interesting job. I do really enjoy it. I think there's a lot of behind the scenes that you perhaps don't take into account when you're looking at our social media accounts. When you go onto our Instagram account and you see what we're posting, probably not realizing the amount of work that's gone into creating that individual post or the content, the series that we're currently putting out there. I think the one thing that also would probably surprise a lot of people is we don't just necessarily talk about a sound mind and a sound body, and we're not using it as some sort of marketing thing. As a brand, I think we all quite aspire to live by that, and it's coming from a genuine desire to improve people's mental well-being as well as physical well-being. So I think that's kind of surprising in a good way. I'd say that we're actually we live by this, and it's important to us. Help people achieve a sound mind and sound body is definitely the mission of our company and what we're trying to do.
Beautiful, great. We're also, just a sideline here, we're also a mission-based company at Iconosquare. We've got a vision and all that. So yeah, it's nice to work with like-minded brands who are trying to do their best for humanity and for the planet, I guess.
Yeah, and I think it's motivating as well, because it gives you a reason. You're not just trying to sell something for the sake of selling something. There's actual a purpose there that really, when you wake up in the morning, I was going to say when you go into the office, but that's not happening at the minute, obviously. Go and sit at your desk and you're doing something. There's a underlying motivation there beyond just doing your job.
Right, now we're going to move on to 4 quick fire questions, where basically I'm going to ask you the question and I need the first answer that pops into your head.
Okay, I'm going to have to think quickly then.
What takes up the most of your time as a social media professional?
Meetings.
Your 3 essential tools for social media marketing.
Iconosquare is definitely one of them. I think it's great. It's been really useful to us over the years. A social listening tool of some sort, and then an influencer analysis tool.
Your favourite accounts on social media, any platform, and then your personal favourites. Don't have to be work related.
Okay, good. I'm lucky enough to live in Amsterdam, which is an extremely pretty city to live in. And one of my favourite accounts is called Then and Now Amsterdam, which shows pictures from particular areas of Amsterdam, I don't know, 100 years ago, 150 years ago, 80 years ago, whatever it may be, and then shows the same spot now. And they tend to mix the two together as a sort of third image on a carousel, where you can see the comparison side by side. I really like that one because it's interesting, obviously, looking back and seeing the streets that you're walking down and how they used to be to compare to how they are now. And it helps that it's Amsterdam, which is, as I say, an extremely pretty place to live.
Great, I'll have to check that out. And finally, your advice to community managers.
The one thing we're trying to live as a brand is to make sure that we are relatable, we're authentic, and we're also caring. As a company, it's important to us that people know that we're not just a brand. We want to help people. We want to, as I've already said, our mission, what we want to do to help people get out and be more active and live a more active lifestyle. But that's also got to relate to us when we're in the social sphere and make sure that people actually can reach out to us and communicate with us and things like that. So I think as a community manager, I think it's important to be there for your community, for your audience. Make sure that there's a feeling of someone behind the brand, and there's actually someone there that the users can reach out and talk to or engage with, obviously beyond just liking your post and then not ever seeing or hearing anything from you as a brand behind that.
Yeah, that's really good advice, to just kind of personify the feel that you get through the content and through the captions, I suppose, as much as possible.
Yeah, exactly. I think making it relatable and making it not just a big company that is almost faceless. It's really important to make sure that you can add a human touch to that, and that people feel that they can interact, that they can reach out and ask a question if need be. I think it's important that the brands do that, and I think unfortunately not enough do it.
Cool. Yeah, you're right. Andy, thank you so much for your time today. It's been a pleasure talking to you and learning all about your mission over there at Asics and the great work that you do on social media. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure talking to you.
And that's all for today's episode. Don't forget that you can check out our other tutorials and interviews with experienced social media marketers on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and TuneIn. Please don't hesitate to give this episode a rating, and for all questions and comments, or to inquire about being interviewed on ESM Squared, contact me directly via emily@iconosquare.com.